American pioneers moved to the New World, their pigs moved with them. Just as olive oil was very common in the Mediterranean region for all types of purposes other than cooking, cosmetics, medicine, lubrication, so was lard in America. The versatile virtues of pig fat were well known in the ancient world, and it was a noble substitute where olive oil was less abundant. Perhaps one of its more popular uses after cooking was as a sexual lubricant. It is well documented that anal intercourse was a popular sexual activity in early American life, and pleasure butter, as it was known back then, would be always readily available in a glass bowl by the side of the bed at your local brothel. This was a solution made of rendered pig fat, blended with libido-enhancing aromatic oils such as vanilla and nutmeg. Of course, genital infections were not uncommon. Another common use was in metal fabrication. Before the Industrial Revolution, parts and tools were produced in workshops in local villages and cities on a small scale, and often for a local market. Lard was used on almost everything in these workshops, primarily as a lubricant and cutting fluid, but also as a protective coating. It was readily available, cheap and effective, plus when it was treated with high temperatures, it gave off a bad smell after a while, which perhaps surprisingly made for a very good mosquito repellent. And considering most workshops were at least partially outdoors, this added an extra benefit. Apparently, the bad smell was easier to deal with than the mosquitoes. At the turn of the century, with the rise of the industrialized machine shops, these small local workshops gradually began to close down. Workers would be laid off, and the owners would spend their days alone in the workshop, drinking. With a combination of boredom and buckets of grease everywhere, the same materials they were familiar with from their after-hours visits to the brothel, an occasional midday pulling off, as it was called at the time, was not an unusual event. There are many documents that reveal much about the sexual appetites of the time. One such document, whose writer is unknown, mentions the use of the grease as butter for masturbation, and seems to have been written as a love letter to a prostitute, most likely by a drunk, idling workshop owner for the purpose of arousing himself. The letter reads, "I'm going to lie down on the bench and butter up my prick and pull at myself until I come. I always keep a block of grease at my side these days, for the smallest things give me a great cock stamp. A whorish movement of your mouth, a little brown stain on the seat of your white drawers, a sudden dirty word spluttered out by your wet lips, a sudden immodest noise made by your behind, and then a bad smell slowly curling up out of your backside. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backward. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farts, ending in a long gush from your hole. My prick is still hot and stiff and quivering when faint hymn is heard, rising in tender, pitiful worship of you from the dim cloisters of my heart." American pioneers moved to the New World, their pigs moved with them. Just as olive oil was very common in the Mediterranean region for all types of purposes other than cooking, cosmetics, medicine, lubrication, so was lard in America. The versatile virtues of pig fat were well known in the ancient world, and it was a noble substitute where olive oil was less abundant. Perhaps one of its more popular uses after cooking was as a sexual lubricant. It is is well documented that anal intercourse was popular sexual activity in early American life, and pleasure butter, as it was known back then, would be always readily available in a glass bowl by the side of the bed at your local brothel. This was a solution made of rendered pig fat, blended with libido-enhancing aromatic oils such as vanilla and nutmeg. Of course, genital infections were not uncommon. Another common use was in metal fabrication. Before the Industrial Revolution, parts and tools were produced in workshops in local villages and cities on small scale, and often for a local market. Lard was used on almost everything in these workshops, primarily as a lubricant and cutting fluid, but also as a protective coat. It was readily available, cheap and effective, plus when it was treated with high temperatures, it gave off a bad smell after a while, which perhaps surprisingly made for a very good mosquito repellent. And considering most workshops were at least partially outdoors, this added an extra benefit. Apparently, the bad smell was easier to deal with than the mosquitoes. At the turn of the century, with the rise of the industrialized machine shops, these small local workshops gradually began to close down. Workers would be laid off, and the owners would spend their days alone in the workshop, drinking. With a combination of boredom and buckets of grease everywhere, the same materials they were familiar with from their after-hours visits to the brothel. An occasional midday pulling off, as it was called at the time, was not an unusual event. There are many documents that reveal much about the sexual appetites of the time. One such document, whose writer is unknown, mentions the use of the grease as butter for masturbation, and seems to have been written as a love letter to a prostitute, most likely by a drunk, idling workshop owner for the purpose of arousing himself. The letter reads, "I'm going to lie down on the bench and butter up my prick and pull at myself until I come. I always keep a block of grease at my side these days, for the smallest things give me a great cock stand. A whorish movement of your mouth, a little brown stain on the seat of your white drawers, a sudden dirty word spluttered out by your wet lips, a sudden immodest noise made by your behind, and then a bad smell slowly curling up out of your backside. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties, ending in a long gush from your hole. My prick is still hot and stiff and quivering when a faint hymn is heard, rising in tender, pitiful worship of you from the dim cloisters of my heart." American pioneers moved to the New World, their pigs moved with them. Just as olive oil was very common in the Mediterranean regions for all types of purposes other than cooking, cosmetics, medicine, lubrication, so was lard in America. The versatile virtues of pig fat were well known in the ancient world, and it was a noble substitute where olive oil was less abundant. Perhaps one of its more popular uses after cooking was as a sexual lubricant. It is well documented that anal intercourse was a popular sexual activity in early American life, and pleasure butter, as it was known back then, would be always readily available in a glass bowl by the side of the bed in the local brothel. This was a solution made of rendered pig fat, blended with libido-enhancing aromatic oils, such as vanilla and nutmeg. Of course, genital infections were not uncommon. Another common use was in metal fabrication. Before the Industrial Revolution, parts and tools were produced in workshops in local villages and cities on small scale, and often for a local market. Lard was used on almost everything in these workshops, primarily as a lubricant and cutting fluid, but also as a protective coating. It was readily available, cheap and effective, plus when it was treated with high temperatures, it gave off a bad smell after a while, which perhaps surprisingly made for a very good mosquito repellent. And considering most workshops were at least partially outdoors, this added an extra benefit. Apparently, the bad smell was easier to deal with than the mosquitoes. At the turn of the century, with the rise of the industrialized machine shops, these small local workshops gradually began to close down. Workers would be laid off, and the owners would spend their days alone in the workshop, drinking. With a combination of boredom and buckets of grease everywhere, the same materials they were familiar with from their after-hours visits to the brothel, the occasional midday cooling off, as it was called at the time, was not an unusual event. There are many documents that reveal much about the sexual appetites of the time. One such document, whose writer is unknown, mentions the use of the grease as butter for masturbation, and seems to have been written as a love letter to a prostitute, most likely by a drunk, idling workshop owner for the purpose of arousing himself. The letter reads, "I'm going to lie down on the bench and butter up my prick and pull at myself until I come. I always keep a block of grease at my side these days, for the smallest things give me a great cock stand. A whorish movement of your mouth, a little brown stain on the seat of your white drawers, a sudden dirty word spluttered out by your wet lips, a sudden immodest noise made by your behind, and then a bad smell slowly curling up out of your backside. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties, ending in a long gush from your hole. My prick is still hot and stiff and quivering when a faint hymn is heard, rising in tender, pitiful worship of you from the dim cloisters of my heart." American pioneers moved to the New World, their pigs moved with them. Just as olive oil was very common in the Mediterranean region for all types of purposes other than cooking, cosmetics, medicine, education. So was Larval Acceleration. The versatile virtues of big fat were well known in the ancient world, and it was a noble substance, where olive oil was less abundant. Perhaps one of its more popular uses after cooking was as a sexual lubricant. It is well documented that anal intercourse was a popular sexual activity in early American life, and pleasure butter, as it was known back then, would be always readily available in a glass bowl right beside the bed in the local hospital. This was a solution made of rendered pig fat, blended with the fetal acid aromatic oil. Supposed genital infections were not uncommon. Another common before the Industrial Revolution, fast food were produced in workshops in local villages, small scale, enough for a local market. Flour was used on almost everything in these workshops, primarily as a lubricant to cut through it, but also as a protective surface. It was readily available in blood quantities, high temperature, gave off a bad smell, perhaps why it makes so well partly outdoors, this added butter up my prick and pull at myself until I come. I always keep a block of grease at my side these days, for the smallest things give me a great cock stand. A whorish movement of your mouth, a little brown stain on the seat of your white drawers, a sudden dirty word spluttered out by your wet lips, a sudden immodest noise made by your behind, and then a bad smell slowly curling up out of your backside. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips, and if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backside. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling, and I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties, ending in a long gush from your hole. My prick is still hot and stiff and quivering when a faint hymn is heard, rising in tender, pitiful worship of you from the dim cloisters of my heart.